I'm going to call to order the Board of Education regular meeting. It is Monday, November 11th, 2019 at 7 p.m. The Board of Education makes available at least one current copy of the Open Meetings Act, which is posted on the west wall of the meeting room and accessible to all members of the public. Would you now stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up, we have the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the consent agenda as presented. Approval of the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting on October 15th, 2019. Approval of the proposed accounts for payment. Approval of budgetary receipts and expenditures for October 2019. Approval of Committee of the Whole minutes for October 29th, 2019. Approval of option students. Approval of policy, the second reading of 4550 certified staff supervision and evaluation. The third reading of 4210, the workday for classified staff, and 6315.1 athletic dismissal. Approval of the resignation, retirement of Dave Cook, and excuse the absence of Lisa Pieper.
Second.
I have a motion by Doris and a second by Steve. Jason, did you have anything you wanted to comment on?
Just a little bit of a treasurer's report. Bills for September totaled $623,000, $623,040.91. Payroll for October was $1,718,896.74, which brings total expenses to $2,341,937.65. In short, our cash revenue position at this point is good for right now. However, when we look at projections out over the course of the year, we're really going to have to look at where we're spending on a month-to-month average and our revenues, where we project those coming in, and have some discussions about that in the future. So I will continue to research and update you on that as needed as we move forward, but it is going to lead us to look at some alternative situations in the future. So.
Okay, any comments or questions for Jason? Seeing and hearing none, can I have your votes, please? All right, that is approved. All right, that is approved with 7. All right. Next up, we move on to the outstanding recognition portion of the meeting. Mr. Suter, I believe you are up.
I'm up. Lori Spilker is our November Employee of the Month, but I don't see her here this evening. Would like to tell you about her. Lori is a tremendous asset to Beatrice Public Schools. She's very passionate about the job and truly loves all the kids. Lori makes it a mission each day to smile and greet kids as they come into our school, and to talk and interact with kids every day, all day. She makes them feel important and like someone is genuinely interested in them. Lori problem solves, with them on issues, behaviors, and makes it a point to try to help them make a plan on how to be better and help themselves. Some kids seek her out daily to tell her about an event or a happening in their life. Lori is truly a friend to them, and to some, providing them the friendship that they may lack with their peers. Mrs. Spilker brings a wealth of tools and knowledge of student behavior and building protocol, as her current position at Beatrice High was as a para. Lori takes a great amount of pride in her work and strives to hit the deadlines each day. She's cautious and aware in regards to the safety of students and the staff, is not afraid to question visitors, though always in a very friendly manner. Mrs. Spilker is always first to volunteer to help, or just jump in where needed. What's great is Lori doesn't have to be asked. She just does and has a great knack for seeing what needs to be done before it happens. We would like to congratulate Mrs. Lori Spilker, the November's Employee of the Month. So, about her being here, let's still give her a round of applause. She truly does a great job at the high school. She's the first face that most people see when they come in after they've buzzed in. So she does a wonderful job. Can I go ahead and right into softball?
You can get
All right,
right
I have the honor this evening to present the state runner-up softball team to the board. This group of young ladies do a tremendous job throughout the season. I know that they probably are a little disappointed with the end result, but I would ask them just to continue to think about the journey that they went on and the process it took to become state runner-up. I particularly really enjoyed watching the girls play this summer, or this year, this fall. Not just the games, but the dancing between games or before the games. It was always something to laugh about and to joke, and I guess that's the way you stretch, so it worked out well. I also enjoyed listening to our student body yell "Wampus" and having all the home runs that we hit throughout the year. So it was a fun season to watch these young ladies do great things. And so tonight we are here to recognize them on their accomplishments. I would also, before I introduce the young ladies, I would like to thank their coaches, head coach Gary Lytle, assistant coach Murray Randall, assistant coach Greg Delabar, volunteer coach Mike Bartholomew, Dave Warnicki, Christy Lindblad, Jill Sluka, and Dennis Dodge, and also their student managers Delaney Roeder and Jordan Vanskoy. So thank you. I know it always is great to recognize our student athletes, but there's the coaches and the student managers and everyone that's behind the scenes helping help them get to the level that they got to this year. So that being said, girls, when I read your name, come on up. Mr. Zerman's got an award for you. And parents, if you want to get a picture, I'll try to get out of the way a little bit. And I think that'll be okay.
Yes, if we can have you line up and face the audience that way, then we'll, as Mr. Suter calls your name, then we can get you on camera for anybody that might be at home watching.
So we're going to do just the team first, and then I've got some individual awards. I want to recognize those young ladies too. So first up, Hannah Lytle. Here. Addison Barnard. Yeah, we can grab it. Olivia Aiden. Whitney Schweezo. Reagan Delabar. Avery Barnard. Riley Schweezo. Karis Jurgens. Addison Laughlin. Riley Krisky Pangborn. Jaden Vanskoy. Carly Lenners. Morgan Mahoney. Reagan Henning. Alexis Swartz. Emma Erickson. Tavia Hausman, Stormy Gonzalez Dorn, last but not least, Lainey Workman. Okay, so that's, congratulations, our state runner-up softball team. Now, we've got individual honors. Addison Barnard, Addie Barnard was a Super State first team, Class B first team, and I'd like to just add that she is the state leader in home runs for her career. She hit 61 home runs throughout her career at Beatrice High, and she leads the entire state all class. So Addison Barnard. Okay.
We got more paperwork.
Okay, I guess we have.
Congratulations.
Olivia Aiden Olivia is a Super State second team and Class B first team. So congratulations, Olivia. Hannah Lytle's not here, but she was Class B second team. And Whitney Schwezo, Class B second team. Congratulations, girls. It was fun to watch this season, and best of luck to you in the future. Okay, good job.
I would just like to echo that, congratulations, and ladies, before you leave, because you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting, and I know you've been at it since this morning, and a lot of you just got done with other practices, but before you leave, I would just like you to know what a true pleasure it was to watch you play the game with so much passion that you played. And I would also like you to know how much we appreciate the number of hours that you put in to get to where you finished the season. And you did a tremendous job of representing this community. It was a proud moment for all of us to see you finish where you did, and you've built a legacy to live upon. The thing that impresses me the most is that so much of the time we talk about finishing at the top and being the best of our game. But the number of hours that you had to put in to get to that position, nobody else really can speak to that except for you. I just hope that the rest of our student body will embolize and symbolize the work that you put in to get to where you finished. Because that doesn't come without effort, it doesn't come without time, and it doesn't come without a lot of tremendous input on your part to finish there. This should be something that you remember the rest of your lives, because I guarantee we will remember you. So thank you very much for all of your hard work, and congratulations. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Congratulations.
All right, now we're going to move on to the information portion. First up, we have a student update with Zach Zimmerman.
Starting off with the high school, the Hope Squad is a group of students in the high school. They received their first phase training, which was held on October 23rd for all Hope Squad students. Parent training for Hope Squad was also held on November 4th. National Honor Society, Student Council, and Leadership class are having a coat drive from November 20 until November 26th, and all the coats donated will be donated to a Warmer Day Nebraska charity. The vocal music department, both show choirs, concert choir, and Sir William and the Orange Singers have been busy preparing for the Veterans Day performance, which was held earlier today, and for their winter concert, which will be held Thursday, December 19th. Additionally, Limited Edition will perform will begin their competition season show at the Nebraska State School Board Convention as their opening performance on Thursday, November 21st in Omaha. The marching band performed at 4 home games and 1 away game at Norris. They also competed in 3 contests where they received a Division I superior rating. They additionally finished first in Class B at the Lynx contest for the second year in a row. The superior rating at state is the sixth consecutive earned at this contest. Work is now underway for the holiday concert on December 19th. The Beatrice Middle School held their annual Red Ribbon Week, which gave students the opportunity to sign drug-free pledges, decorate miniature doors, and have different dress-up days and display support. Delegation and after-school choir recently had their fall concert. The 8th graders are helping with their annual water testing experiments at the homestead. 7th graders participated in the vocabulary parade on Halloween. Fall sports were successful and have concluded, and the winter sports, including girls basketball and wrestling, have begun. Paddock Lane 4th and 5th music program tomorrow evening at the Heaven. This program is called An Evening on Broadway. Each house is collecting food for the Beatrice Community Food Bank. Students are also decorating grocery bags to take to the pantry along with their donation on Thursday, November 21st. Houses will also be working on Christmas songs as they will be caroling at 8 different senior facilities during the month of December. In the preschool students had fun in their Halloween parade. The halls were filled with lots of kids in many different costumes. They are in the planning stages for our breakfast with Santa that will be on December 7th. Anyone is welcome to join in on the pancake feed and the chance to visit with Santa. That is all.
All right, thank you, Zach. Next up, we have board reports. First up, Committee of the Whole. Mrs. Martin.
It was kind of a long meeting. Dr. Nielsen started with testing data, saying that it was released the middle of October. And she said she informed the board that designations have been added this year, and she used a PowerPoint to share some of the historical testing data and how it compares to state averages. There was 1 grade above the state average for the English language arts. Assessment math had 3 grades above the state average. The district did have 3 schools that are currently designated as target support and improvement schools. That would be Paddock Lane, Stoddard in the middle school, and that they're working on the steps in the process to getting out of this designation. A rough draft of the 2021 school calendar was shared with the board, and Dr. Nielsen talked about some of the differences from recent calendars. Mr. Alexander said the draft had been shared with administrators and was going to be shared with certified staff earlier in the day. Mr. Alexander also talked about the district PLC, which was on October 30th, and he said the agenda included ending the Who Moved My Cheese book read, district initiatives, and he said it was a good opportunity to bring people back together as a group. We also talked about the need for generating some ideas to have more funding for technology with the loss of that $100,000. And Mr. Alexander shared some ideas, and we'll continue to talk about that. Mr. Alexander then shared information on the current vehicle fleet, noting that we needed to replace the Ford Taurus, and that Mr. Brethauer is working with Beth Cordery Huckstra and Mrs. Repogel to develop a replacement plan that would take into consideration special education transportation requirements as well as elementary transportation and extracurricular transportation. Mr. Alexander then talked to the board about that the district had been approached by a patron that wanted to purchase some land on the south edge of Lincoln Elementary, and he showed where that land was, and there were no objections from the board, so he could proceed with that. And then we also talked about guidelines for elementary classes, and Mr. Alexander said he'd have some changes to that policy as they relate to more defined timelines and deadlines. And then we ended with President of the Board, John Zimmerman, sharing some information about the superintendent evaluation, and we were all provided a copy and requested an online version, which Danielle sent out then. That ends my report.
All right, thank you, Doris. Mr. Winter, I believe you have a stamps report for us.
Yes, I do. Most of what the stance organization is doing right now is preparing themselves for the upcoming legislative session. There's only a couple of things I want to highlight here. LB 537 is a change in provisions related to the performance of teachers. This bill would provide greater latitude to teachers to contest any notice of performance concerns and potentially appealing directly to a board. LB 685 would allow teachers to circumvent their local district grievance procedures and instead seek judicial relief in the courts and ignore a local school district's established grievance procedures or policies. Now again, those are just some updates on those bills. If they pass, then of course they would go into effect. But that's about all I've got this time. There'll be a lot more when the session actually starts.
Okay, thank you. Next up, School and Community, Mrs. Byers.
The School Community and Staff Relations Committee met on November 1st at Paddock Lane with Aaron Chadwick and myself present. Discussion regarding class sizes was held. They again stated that parental involvement and support are encouraged and positive results are seen when parents are engaged with their child's education. There were a lot of very positive things. It was really a fun meeting. But I'm going to let Mrs. Replogle talk about a lot of those fun things, and we'll be duplicating that. Also, staff would like to have more information to help refer families for services within the community, and discussion regarding the need for a social worker for the district was held. We talked about the possibility of that. The next School Community and Staff Relations Committee meeting will be at Beatrice Community Preschool.
Okay, thank you. I believe you also have negotiations.
The negotiations committee did meet. We talked about the array, we talked about the insurance increase that they had, and we have another meeting scheduled for December 4th. So really, we're in the very early stages of negotiations.
Okay, thanks. At this point, I believe we're going to have Mrs. Ripple go speak to us about the new student-centered activities so that they all can take off.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to address you, and I brought some of my friends with me, so if I could ask them to all come up, boys and girls. And Mr. Stevens and Mrs. Broughton and Mrs. Erickson, you're welcome to join us too. As you heard a little bit at School Communities, we got a lot inspired at Adam DeVico's PR presentation at the beginning of the school year, so much so that we did not finish the first work day, without me having about 6, 8 teachers in my office saying, okay, we're ready to go. And I was still reading my notes I had taken from his presentation. But for those of you who weren't there, he is a principal, a writer, public speaker, and he really gets your juices going when he talks about things to do to involve your kids. And as Paddock Lane is kind of the largest elementary building downtown, and we discovered we spread over 300 plus students, it gets kind of hard for all the students to get to know each other very well. So Mr. Stevens and Mrs. Broughton came along. Mrs. Erickson, she's like our cheerleader in the building. She's rah-rah about everything. so they all got kind of excited and says, let's do houses. And so we all had watched about the houses, and so it just took off like crazy. So these boys and girls were selected by adults in their houses. We have 8 houses at Paddock Lane now. We are all animals, and if you turn around, you can show the backs of your shirts, and they can all tell you what animal they represent and what the animal stands for. Those of us who are wolves, we are all about loyalty, right? That's right. Okay, and some of us are about respect, and some of us, all sorts of different virtues that we want to address and show other people. So on the very first full day of school, and Mr. Alexander's joined us at 100 plus degrees outside in the heat. And you can start rolling if you like to. We spun the wheel, a color wheel, and every student, every staff member, everybody in the building, and that includes our secretary, our custodians, everybody spun the wheel and landed on a house. And so each one of us were in that house. And these what's gonna float by are some of the activities that have gone on. We bought shirts, everybody has a shirt, and every Wednesday we wear shirts, right guys?
Yeah.
On Wednesdays we wear shirts. And the last half hour of the day from 1:15 to 1:45, everybody goes to the house that they belong to and spends a half an hour doing a variety of activities. And I would like the children to quickly introduce themselves, tell you what house they're from, and they'll tell you some of the things we do that they like. This all came from them, what the things are they like to do. So I don't care who starts. Kyson, do you want to be first to go up? Kyson's like, he always likes to speak, so well. Use the microphone.
My name is Tyson. I am part of the Wolf House, and the Wolf House means loyalty. And one of the things I like about what we do in the house is that you get to see all the younger kids because you don't really get to see them often.
Hi, my name is Zoe, and I am in the Gorilla House. The Gorilla stands for trust, and I like that you get to meet new people and work with the younger kids. Hi, my name is Maria. I'm in the Elephant House. The Elephant House means honor, and the thing I like about Elephant House is because you get to know the older kids.
Can you show them the elephant signal when you pass them? So when an elephant passes an elephant in the hallway, not in their shirts, they do this little thing that shows. Now, everybody, the wolves, we don't howl, we really don't howl, but the elephants do this every time they pass each other in the hallway. Somebody else.
Hi, my name is Rylan, and I'm part of the Eagle family, or group, and the Eagle stands for respect. And one of the things I like to do in group is that work with new paras and teachers and get to know them more, stuff like that. Hi, my name is Charlie, and I am in the Elephant House, and our house is for honor. And in our house, I like to do the activities like helping the community, and we pick up trash and stuff.
Hi, my name is Aiden. I'm in the Dolphin group, and my group stands for kindness. And one of the things I like to do in group is we get to see all of our friends and do fun activities.
Hi, my name is Amy. I'm in the Gorilla House also, and it stands for trust. I like getting to make new friends and everything.
My name is Isaac Berner, and I'm in the Bear House, and it stands for strength. And my favorite thing to do is work with kids and help them when they are struggling.
That's okay. Say your name's Bree.
My name is Bree,
And what house do you belong to?
and I am a tiger, and we stand for courage.
And what do you like to do?
And my favorite thing to do is help other people.
Okay. So every Wednesday we get together and we do all these things. We have, to piggyback off what you said about working to improve our reading and math scores. So the first Wednesday of the month, we work on math activities. They play math games, big kids and little kids, and little kids, as long as they know their numbers, can give flashcards to big kids because the answer's on the back. So we're discovering that. And then on the third Wednesday of the month, we do reading activities. Big kids read to little kids read to big kids. They play vocabulary games. And then the other two times, they do some fun games and competitions. As they said, we are collecting food for the community food pantry that we will be delivering November 21st, correct? And then we will be caroling at 8 different senior citizens places in December. So each house will go someplace in December to carol. Along with this, let's see, we have, who told me, who had the bear? We also do very quiet hallway, 340, about 40 kids and about, I don't know, 70, 80 staff members on any given day can be noisy in the hallway. So we started the very quiet hallway this year, and every staff member votes by 8 o'clock on Friday morning as to which class is the quietest in the hallway, which is really great because there's a lot of people in the hallway when you have that many kids. And somebody's class here has won that award. Whose class won that award? Both of your classes won that award, and they tell me they love it because I have this 6+ foot bear, stuffed bear, and I think it was in one of the pictures there. And so they get to have it in the room and put it wherever they want it, you know, and I think a lot of times it's in a reading corner, so they get to sit on it when they read and whatever. And then the other award that's going on right now, Amy has received that award, and what's it called? Awesome Office Visit, Awesome Office Visit. So sometimes people get the impression when you go to the principal's office it's a bad deal. Well, it's not a bad deal to go to the principal's office for any of us as principals, but these are awards that any staff member can give to a student who has really gone above and beyond. And so they come and they give an award. It hangs on my wall. I have a big bulletin board, hangs on my wall, and then we have a picture taken at the end of the quarter with everybody that got it. We have some other things going. Mr. Stevens, you want to tell them about our $5,000 vending machine project that's going on right now?
Yeah, Judy Municipal sent a message to me via Facebook. It is called an Inchy Bookworm vending machine. This company out of Buffalo, I believe, they repurpose vending machines and they put picture books in it, put chapter books in it, things like that. So with the help of the foundation, we're currently trying to raise money to get one of those in the school.
And the kids can earn a free coin to get a free book. All books are free in there. And they earn coin, they can earn a coin through an activity in their house, through a competition, and they put the coin in the machine and they can pick out any book they want in the machine for free. And we have lots of people that are ready to donate the book, so we just need to keep getting the money to buy the machine. But we're working on it, we're working on it. Anything else you'd like to add?
I would just like to add the fact that with our professional development, and thanks for bringing in the gentleman that helped us get so engaged as well in all of this activity. I would just like to say if anyone were there when it's time to dismiss for the houses, and if you saw the buzz in the hallway and everyone knowing which house they're going to, it's just amazing. Everyone is just going without any leadership at all. They know exactly where they need to go and they are ready to go. And Wolves challenged us. I am also a gorilla. Sorry for not having my shirt tonight. And we also have a signal in the hall when we see each other. It's just an awesome thing. And so I'm just very thrilled at how engaged these kids are through this activity. It's wonderful.
It's great to see them pass their little buddies in the hallway and kind of give a sign or a hi or a wink. And as somebody said, it's a great opportunity. You know, if you're a 5th grade teacher, you don't normally get to know the kindergartners very well, but all staff is mixed up. So we saw Mrs. Breeden, who's a 5th grade teacher, playing some kind of game with a bunch of little kids, you know, during one of the times, and they just absolutely love it. So we would encourage anybody to participate, and then the newspaper came by to pictures the other day. So thank you for the opportunity to do that and to hear the voices of the children that participate in it.
I would like to congratulate you on hitting all 4 paragraphs that I skipped to allow you to do that. You got every one of them, so.
Thank you.
But it was really fun to be at that meeting because it was very, very positive, and I thought it sounded like it was just fun to be at Paddock Lane, and so, you know, I have to really compliment you on the implementation of these programs. I think it's awesome.
Just one other thing, if you are visiting Paddock Lane and you do see a teacher or pair with their phone out hitting some things. It's not that we're sending text messages at school. We all downloaded an app from the Ron Clark Academy, and that app has uploaded all the names of all of our children and in their right houses. So as a staff member, anytime we see a child doing something just super special or whatever, we just hit the app, type in their name, hit add, and we can give them points. So, for example, one day, 60 first graders walked down the hallway and didn't make a peep. I know that's hard to believe, but it really truly did happen. And so I looked at them and said, and so after they all got down the hallway and to go to recess, I had the task of generating 60 names on the telephone app, but they all got points. So we have quite a competition going right now as to who's going to win. We have a beautiful trophy that was donated by Yule, and it will go at the end of December to the house that has the most points. And trust me, we're all working really hard to have that trophy in our house.
And to piggyback off of that, one of our teachers is donating a TV that we want to put up by Mrs. Harris's office. And Blackburn Technologies donated a computer to us. This way, all the kids, staff, whoever walks down the hallway, they can see the points per house and who's in the lead. So it shows the color and the flags of each house. So it's going to be pretty cool.
A lot of support, community support, foundation support, staff support.
I got to go one day and it was really, really fun, and the kids were learning. It was early on in the year and the kids were learning a cheer, and it was fun to see all ages. Some of them were doing that, some were doing activities to get to know one another better and some team building activities, but it was fun. It was nice to see the variety of activities too. But kids were really engaged, and I think, isn't that what you're after? Yes. So it was working, yeah.
Thank you very much for letting us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us this evening. We appreciate you coming, and thank you for taking the idea and putting it to fruition in our school. We'll be anxious for an update in December to see who wins that trophy.
It's a real war.
Officer Sharp, while you're in the room, thank you very much for your presentation this morning at the middle school. We appreciate your service and your time.
Thank you. The kids did a great job putting that on, so thank you.
It was very good. Thank you for being there.
Now we are left with the very most important people, those who actually stay after all the fun stuff. Now's the time for public forum or citizens' requests and comments related to any agenda items. Was there anyone here tonight that wished to speak to the board? Alright, seeing no one jumping up, we're going to move on to the discussion portion. First up, first reading of policy 5109. Mr. Alexander.
All right, as promised, bringing you some riveting policy discussion around 5109. Basically, this is the policy that sets guidelines for elementary class sizes and some timelines around that. I've been working with the elementary principals and preschool principal, Mrs. Timmerman, in regards to this policy to just discuss its relevancy since the move to the grade level buildings has come to fruition in our discussion last spring. And basically what we've been doing is working to come to the conclusion that it's in our best interest to rewrite the policy to do three things. First, eliminate some of the zoning language within the policy because it really doesn't apply anymore. Provide a clearer understanding of how student assignments are made, and establish some key timelines that put kindergarten and preschool roundup into motion earlier in the year so we can make better educated decisions on class sizes before the 1st of May. That's important just because if it's necessary for us to increase the number of class or sections that we offer in kindergarten or in any other class, we want to be able to do that when the timing is at the precise time to go after recruits instead of at May when we may be towards the end of the candidate pool in regards to that situation. So the policy that's in front of you also requires transition meetings to be held in a timely fashion in the best interest of everyone involved, but most importantly, the students. And so that transition discussion that takes place between our preschool and our kindergarten students, we want to move that along quicker than we did a year ago, just because we want to be able to make that transition smoother for the students. In our opinion, and I guess I speak comfortably for the administration involved, that are also here, part of them here in the audience tonight, this policy moves us much closer to working together in the best interest of our students, kindergarten students, and helps us break down barriers in order to provide a seamless transition from preschool to kindergarten. So with that, that's kind of an update as to where we've been. If you have questions or concerns, be glad to entertain those at this time. We didn't change the numbers. We felt like those numbers have done us appropriate measures in what we've, in our discussions in the past. Basically just kind of changed the policy to reflect a more abbreviated time frame so we could focus in on what it is we want to get accomplished.
I think the only comment I would make about the numbers in our meeting at Paddock Lane, I think some of the staff would like to see maybe some flexibility in that policy just based on the behaviors that they have. I mean, they've got kindergartners who still aren't potty trained. I mean, you've got a class section that is a certain size and you've got 4 or 5 kids who aren't potty trained. That's an issue with class sizes, but I don't know if there's any way to add some flexibility based on behaviors. That would be something that I would maybe like to see looked at.
It's definitely a discussion we can continue to have. We've met once, but we can certainly throw that into our discussion.
Okay, anyone else have any comments or questions? All right, we're going to move on to the action portion. First up, approval of sabbatical leave.
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the sabbatical leave request for Kale Kaiser for the 2020-21 school year.
I have a motion by Doris.
Second.
All right, second by Aaron. All right. Did you have anything you wanted to?
Basically, we've kind of touched on this, but just so everybody's clear in the audience, sabbatical leave may be granted by the Board of Education upon application of a teacher through the superintendent. The length of the sabbatical shall be stated at the time of the application. Upon returning, the employee shall be entitled to a teaching position and placement on the salary schedule in accordance with the training and experience. Expect that the period of absence will not be counted as experience, but just that they will not lose their position on the salary schedule. The employee, before granting any sabbatical leave, shall agree to serve 1 year for each semester of leave. So in this case, being gone a year means that that teacher will be required to be in employment with the district for 2 years upon returning. And the employee may sign up for individual and health insurance with the district at their expense during their time of absence.
Okay, any comments or questions for the board? All right, can I have your votes, please? All right, that is approved 6-0. Next up, approval of the 2021 school calendar.
We've been working on this calendar now for a couple months, and basically I think we're at a point where we're ready to present, but we'll move this action item to December just for purposes of making sure everything's correct. I just want to walk you through the process that we followed so far. First, we devise, and we do this every year, but I think it's important for everybody to understand how it comes to fruition. First, a rough draft calendar is designed and submitted to the administrative team and Mr. Randall for suggestions. That's basically just because we deal with the NSAA moratorium at Christmas. And Christmas really is the marking point for the first semester of school. And it does really, the day that it falls on really does kind of determine the rest of the calendar. So it's a big ticket item in terms of how the calendar sets itself up. So as we look at the calendar, we look at Christmas, and we start to almost work our way in backwards towards the start of the school year. This year, as in the calendar that we have right now, we've also decided to push the start of the school to a week before or we're pushing back the start of the school year a week for the reason that we felt like we were getting too close to starting at the start of August or the end of July. So we've moved it back. The second step is that the rough draft is submitted to all staff via email, and a Google survey is submitted in which staff can respond for the purpose of just collecting data to get their input. We did do that. The rough draft calendar was submitted to the Board of Education for input in the Committee of the Whole meeting. And then all the responses from staff and the board are submitted and discussed by the administrative team. We did that on November 5th, excuse me, and adjustments were made to the calendar for purposes of hearing the input from all who wanted to comment on it. And as you can imagine, when it comes to a calendar, everybody has their perfect idea of what it needs to be, and so that input ranges from some people, it's perfect, just tell me when I've got to be there and I'll be there to teach, all the way over to the other side of the spectrum, which is, I don't like it because it doesn't do this and this and this. So we take all of that information, try and squish it down into a calendar that works for everybody. All those responses were validated, they were discussed, and the administrative team then discusses it and tries to put together something that's workable for everybody. But most importantly is a calendar that represents what's best for students. And so I think the calendar that's been put in front of you tonight is a calendar that the administrative team spent a great deal of time discussing over the course of the last month. And we feel very confident that it's the right calendar, but would invite any discussion on your part, and then we'll bring it to a final vote for you in December. But I think it's just important to cover how that process takes place, because it is something that we do allow everybody to have some input on.
So Jason, going back to the committee, the calendar submitted to us in the committee of the whole, we had starting school on, I have it pulled up here, August 18th, and now we've gone back to August 12th, and we still have the same Christmas break. So why the difference there?
Basically,
So we basically haven't started we're starting the same time that we have in the past couple of years, still shortening Christmas break, but not gaining on the front end.
what we did is we looked at the suggestion that was made by staff, is that because students are primarily back, and when we talk about students, we're talking about our high school students, they're required to start, or they can start practices as early as the 11th, the 10th. We talked about that because that was staff input that we received, and we decided that starting on the 10th makes the most sense, or the 12th for students, because they're already here anyway. That doesn't include elementary students. So that's the reason why we moved it back. We decided that in terms of Christmas, the 25th falls on a Friday, so it's pretty hard not to have school the 21st and 22nd, where that puts us 2 days getting out 2 days later at the end. So we decided to stick with the Christmas break being the same in order to not go into the next week at the end of school.
But doesn't it make the semesters more equal in length?
What's that?
By starting on the 10th, don't the 2 semesters become more equal in length?
Yes, that's
I think that was another part of it.
How are some of the other school districts around starting? For example, I believe Southern started around the 20th, 21st last year. How are they starting later in the month of August and getting by with their amount of days?
Great question.
I can answer that. They're on 180 days.
Yeah.
They're on a shorter contract.
Shorter contract makes a difference. The other thing that makes a difference also is hours, because in the end, we're required by the Department of Education to fulfill 1,032 student hours for K6 and, K8, and 1,090 or 1,080 for high school hours would be 912. And so our students with the Wednesday dismissals, we have to take that into consideration as well, the number of hours that they're getting missing on those Wednesday dismissals.
I would think we also provide more professional development. I'm not sure, but I would guess that there's more professional development in Beatrice.
There's a give and take both ways, and there's we do provide more professional development. We also, it comes down to the number of hours we're in, so. And then contract days, as Steve pointed out as well.
So our PLC days are taking away from potential hours then, right?
Correct. Well, they don't count towards
They
student
don't
hours.
count towards student hours,
Correct.
which is adding days to our calendar.
Correct.
So Southern doesn't have PLCs.
No.
Excuse me?
They don't have PLCs.
No.
We don't have much teacher work time either. Half work addresses.
And Eric, on the end, were you asking on the end of the school year too?
No,
If you-
beginning.
Okay, because if you go down to May, this version has the makeup or weather days built in. So if we don't use them, they will get taken off. So if we have no weather days, your last school could be the 18th of May.
Good discussion.
Anybody else have any comments or questions on the calendar?
Yes, it makes me smile when you talk about the Christmas being. I remember when we went after the semester ended in January, and I didn't see that as just a huge issue. But somehow it's turned into, I mean, it must be over. And I don't quite understand that, but, because then you could start later and then, and then the semesters could still be of equal length, but for some reason that has been, the other next most unpopular idea to try is to get out after Memorial Day. They discussed that one time, that was
So Jason, the reason to go to the 12th was for high school sports then, right?
I think it was to make the semesters equal. I thought
And
that,
how
for
is
me, for input I got, there were some staff that were really,
But Christmas is the same.
well, yeah, but by starting earlier, you get, 5 more days on that first semester. You still end at Christmas, but you get 5 more days. Remember the other calendar, there was a 10-day difference? And this way it makes them more equal.
I would say that from staff input, one of the biggest discussions we put out a survey, and one of the biggest responses we got back from staff, or the most common, is that students are here anyway and preparing for sports. So instead of starting on the 18th, we pushed that back that week, and it's not quite as early as it was this year. But then it also does balance the semesters better, because we were at a 10-day differential between the two semesters, and now we're at a 2-day differential. So it made sense from that standpoint for us to look at it. But the other thing we talked about is that with Christmas break being a full 2 weeks, I mean, that's a nice thing, and it's a nice thing for our staff. But with 52% of our students that qualify for free and reduced lunches, there's an opportunity there to make sure they're fed for 2 more days before they go on Christmas break. That it's a factor for us, and it's a factor to make sure that we take into account all students and their home lives. And so we look at that, and we think, in terms of 2 more days of having meals, that's something that we feel like is an important thing. Now, I wish I had it with me, because I went clear out to December of 2026, and I think in 2024, Christmas will fall back on a Wednesday, and so it won't make a lot of sense to come on a Monday, Tuesday. But this year, with Christmas falling on Friday, it's pretty hard not to have kids, or next year, it's pretty hard not to have kids on that Monday, Tuesday, and take the opportunity we have to make sure they're fed and taken care of those 2 days.
We talked about that too, Eric, at the beginning. That was one of our reasons too, to move it up a little bit, is to get kids back in school sooner for that food purpose. as well for the breakfast program, because a lot of those kids, as you know, go through the summer without. So that was one of the other reasons too.
And Jason, I agree, I do think that the sports came actually secondary to the 10-day difference between the two semesters. When we talked about that, then Neil or somebody commented that, well, all the kids that are in sports and activities are already back anyway, so that way, that helped with not having that huge gap, because I believe the teacher's feedback was that that equals like a unit. 2 weeks equals like a unit of study that will get cut off first semester.
Yeah. There was, like I said, every teacher in the district had a chance to provide input, and those were some of the legitimate reasons we heard for moving the start of the date to the day we did.
Just curious, how many student days do our PLCs take up? What's that equate to?
I don't know.
Instructional days, I'm just curious.
I'd be curious to know too.
I
Yeah, they count as, because when I looked at this calendar, there's supposed to be 9 professional development days, and I can't figure out where they are in there, other than there's a Saturday, Sunday that I don't think we're doing professional development on, but I couldn't find the 9 days, and I didn't know if PLCs counted as part of the 9 days. That would be a question I'd have.
I'd just be interested to hear that. I still hear a lot of feedback from the community of the Wednesday early outs. Even though we have the BLAST program, there's still a lot of parents that have an issue with, after school on those days. So
Especially those that work shift
yeah,
jobs. There's a big issue there.
it continues to come up.
It's something that I was thinking about, and not to prolong the discussion too long, but as I was preparing for tonight, I was thinking in my head about the PLC days, and I think it's one of those things that we have to balance, and because if we just said we were going to do it every other week, then that creates a scheduling issue in one perspective as to having it consistent every Wednesday, that then everybody knows when it is and there's not the guessing. In terms of having it, does it take up too many hours of student instruction time? That's a definite question. And the question is, on the other side, does it provide the opportunity for our staff to collaborate and work together that they otherwise wouldn't have? And I think it's something we need to continue to ask ourselves and to research, but off the top of my head, I wouldn't know that number of hours. I'd have to calculate it.
Would you be able to provide maybe some more information to us after the meeting about the PLC time periods and what the teachers do during those hours? I mean, I really have no idea what they do during the PLC time. I'd be curious to know.
You bet.
4 to 5 days. If there's 33 PLCs and they're about an hour, so it should be 33 hours a year approximately.
So I would say that at this point, we will bring this back to you in December with the opportunity for further discussion. It's not like we have to approve this tonight, and I think there's an opportunity for us to review it, and we feel pretty confident that we're at 177 instructional days and 186 staff contracted days. But there may be opportunity to discuss those contract days and decide what exactly we want to have for contract days for teachers. Knowing where we're at budgetarily speaking, it might be a situation where we want to look at reducing a contract day or two to reduce what we have to pay. But that's a discussion that you definitely have to have in the negotiations process as well.
Okay, anybody else have any comments or questions before we table the school calendar? All right, we're going to move on to purchase of convection oven. Mr. Alex, I need a motion.
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the purchase of a gas convection oven from Cashwa Distributing Company for the price of $12,865.
I have a motion by Doris, and I have a second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Mr. Alexander?
Well, the oven at the high school has become inoperational and non-functional, and we don't have the ability to repair it due to obsolete funds or obsolete parts. But and since the student guidelines or the food guidelines won't allow us to order Pizza Hut in every day, we are going to have to fix that oven. So Dawn has been working to get RFPs. She did get 2 of them, and the purchase from Cashway is the lesser of the 2, so I recommend that you go with that.
All right, any comments or questions? Okay, can I have your votes, please? That passes with 6 votes. Next up, selection and approval of superintendent evaluation instrument. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the superintendent evaluation instrument as presented.
I have a motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Aaron. All right, we handed this out at the committee of the whole meeting, and basically it's a new instrument for us to look at and to evaluate. Did anybody have any super problems with it so far? If you've looked it over, I didn't. It seems like a little more linear than the last one. The last one covered some things that we really would have no clue on. So if no one has any problems with it, we can vote that in and then get them all set up so Jason can know just what we think of them. So, hearing nothing, can I have your votes, please? All right, that passes with 6 votes. Next up, special education van purchase. Mr. Alexander, we don't even have a, are we voting on the?
We can, if you're ready. If you want to discuss it in December, we can. But do you want to make a motion to discuss the purchase of the?
We're going to make a motion to just to discuss or to purchase.
Well, we have one that we're ready to purchase.
Do we know how much it costs?
Yes.
Do I put that in the motion?
Yeah.
How much would that be?
$16,000.
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the purchase of a special education van for $16,000.
Second.
I have a motion by Doris, a second by Steve.
So where we're at with this is, you know, we've been discussing another van that will help relieve the pressure on the transportation fleet. We're also in a position where we've had to, many of those vans, they're aging and they were all purchased at the same time. So I asked Terry to meet with Mrs. Corby Hoekstra, Special Education Director in the SPED department, as well as Mrs. Replicable, just to discuss a plan that would, with the purchase of one vehicle, would allow us to move another van back out onto the fleet that's currently kind of just being stationed to take care of transportation in town. And in short, the SPED department agreed to purchase a van through their budget. And, oh, it didn't come up?
It died.
It died.
Oh, okay. But the van,
You guys should have been snappier. I think it's the network. I think you're on for an hour.
Oh, that's 8:02. Okay.
so basically, the plan is that,
Thought it goes in.
gotta call the meeting. The van will replace the aging Taurus that we have that we use to transport students. This will allow more passengers to be transported utilizing the van, and it will free a van up to be put back on the transportation route. So the nuts and bolts of it is the vehicle they've found that meets the requirements they need is a 2017 Dodge Grand Caravan with 24,000 miles for $16,000. So it has 7-passenger capacity, and it would replace the Taurus and would allow us to put a van back out on the transportation fleet. So it meets Terry's needs and the special education needs.
Have we also looked at, Jason, I think did we have a discussion earlier about starting to replace some of the other, just in general, transport vans, because I know they are getting old, and quite honestly, when you go to events and we have, looks like rundown vans compared to their schools.
Yeah, we have had that discussion, and I think this van would help us because it's paid for through special education reimbursement, which is 50% reimbursed. So this is the direction that they decided we would go now, and then it's very likely that we'll be looking at purchasing another van as we get closer towards the end of the budget cycle.
Do we have a purchase agreement for the van?
We
I guess I don't feel comfortable voting without seeing the agreement.
We don't have a purchase agreement. We
Okay.
have basically how it works is they go to the automobile auction,
Okay.
and they find us a vehicle that meets our specifications. We tell them what we want, and then they say, this is what we can get. Would you like to do that? So.
This is it's a lease, it was a previous lease, it's a one owner, very well taken care of. Mr. Alexander has the Experian auto report where it scores higher than the average vehicle. I think the average vehicle is 88 to 93, it scored 94 in that report, if that means anything to you. They're putting all new tires on it for purchase. And actually, they said even if we don't want it, they're buying it. They're buying it anyway because they said it's a really good vehicle. So
Is all of that in writing somewhere?
yeah, that was a verbal conversation that I had with the salesman today.
So do you think we should wait until we have a purchase agreement? Would that be?
I mean, I guess it just seems like we should probably have some more information. We don't have anything in front of us other than what's being discussed out loud. It just seems like we should probably have some more information about it before we vote on it.
Is it a timing issue though? If it comes up, we've got to buy it?
No, they're going to keep it regardless, whether we buy it or not. My concern is I don't want the tourists that tourist goes to Pickerel every day, twice a day, on gravel roads out in the country, and that with winter, I'm concerned waiting until December 9th for approval.
I'd be comfortable to give Superintendent Jason the authority to purchase a van up to X amount of dollars. I mean,
Who is they?
Twin Rivers.
Yes, we worked with all three automobile dealerships here in town and talked to them and said, what can you get us? And Twin Rivers came back with this one.
It's nice to know who they.
Yeah, sorry. So basically, that's kind of what we're asking for, is you to grant, and we can come up with that if you'd like to, or we're just asking you to grant us the permission to go ahead and purchase a vehicle up to $16,000, which this van meets those requirements, so.
do we need to restate a motion?
Just
For that permission?
question.
Would that satisfy your worries, Aaron, restating if you're giving Jason permission up to 16,000, or would you just prefer to wait until?
No, I feel comfortable with that.
I don't know what I
As stated, I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the purchase of a special education van for $16,000. So you
I
could
would amend
amend
it
the motion.
to 16,000. All you need to do is amend it. Somebody does.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Can I offer an amendment that we give approval for purchase up to $16,000?
And then you second
I'd second.
Okay, now do we need to vote on that one and then go back on the original, or does this cover everything?
Covers everything.
All right. Does anybody have any comments or questions in regards to anything we've covered in the last few minutes?
I'm good.
All right, can I have your votes, please? All right, that is approved with 6 votes. All right, next up, Property on the south edge of Lincoln Elementary. Is this a motion garnering topic as well? Are we doing a motion or?
We can have this as a discussion item at this point, because we haven't had a chance to work with Mr. Allen in terms of the actual, I just wanted to update you on where we're at in terms of this item and make sure you're still in agreement to move forward. And I don't know if you can get to it in your Spark or not, but it seems how we're shut down by the network. As discussed at the committee of the whole meeting, we've had a request from Travis Allen to purchase about 1,500 square feet of land that borders our south side of Lincoln Elementary. And in the diagram, you can see that land is specifically it's kind of a waterway ditch, so it doesn't hold a lot of appraisal value. The section of land is approximately 10 foot by 150 foot, and that's what we measured it off as being, and would allow Mr. Allen access to the north side of his property. Terry consulted with the city about the appraisal price, and there really isn't much direction to head on this type of land because it is just waterway. So we've basically been talking about what specifically to charge in order to come up with a reasonable amount for that land. I don't know that he's overly interested in investing a lot of money into it, but it's not used at anything right now except for just a funnel of water. So we just would like some direction in terms of your ideas about anywhere to go or any suggestions on how much to charge per square foot.
So if he builds that up to I'm assuming a drive into his backyard, will we have water issues into Lincoln? I assume not. There's enough space between his property and the elementary, so we're fine there.
Yeah.
I mean, I have zero issues with this.
Does he have a van he's not using?
I don't know that.
I was just thinking we had talked about that it could fund our technology. Sure.
It would be nice if it were worth that much, or more.
Or more.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is we haven't had much success in finding someone to appraise the land.
Wouldn't it be similar to when the city vacates an alley, or, it's probably similar to that, so, whatever they pay somebody to vacate an alley?
Or even what
There should
we
be
did
something.
for the trail.
Yeah, I agree with that, whatever the city purchased the land for the trail.
Okay.
Unless, that might be a good place to go, that's a great idea.
It still won't amount to much because
Yeah.
it's very small.
Yeah, it's a smaller
Yeah.
piece, but whatever we got per square foot there might be a place to go.
It's a good idea. So we will, we can put some numbers together and present him with a purchase contract. And if he's interested at that amount, then we can bring that back to you for December. All right.
All right, any other comments, questions on that?
So, just what, who are you gonna rely on for a dollar amount?
Well, I think we're gonna talk to the city about what they place when they vacate an alley space or a lot and see what they value that at.
I think Dairy Queen just got $1.
Well, and I'm thinking, didn't the county just do something over at the bus stop where they maybe sold something to the city, or the county sold something to the city?
I don't know.
I think that's just in the last couple of months, so I don't think it's a big dollar amount at all. Probably Mr. Kennedy could answer that. He's got you get to sit through all those meetings, yeah. But anyway, I know that there was some transfer of an alley or something like that.
I can certainly investigate it.
Yeah.
But appreciate
I'll
the
give you
direction.
something to do.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, anything Anything else? All right, now we have administrators report. We don't have Mrs. Replogle anymore. We took care of that earlier, thank goodness, because the public would not be able to see that now. So we'll move right into the superintendent report.
Basically, just a few things to bring you up to speed on. Daniel did put together the 2018-19 annual report that should be in your Spark notification, and so thank you, Danielle. Great work on that. It does include a lot of good information that we will probably be sending out here shortly. Technology needs, again, we have talked about that as our group tries to find a way to fund $165,000 needed to update Chromebooks. After discussion at the committee of the whole meeting and reconvening as a group, we believe the best methods are going to be to continue to fundraise, repurpose some of our budget allocations from other areas into the technology, and then look at a lease purchase agreement, a lease purchase payment. So we'll be discussing that and bringing that forward to you. Dave is working on that right now as we talk. Strategic planning. As you know, our strategic plan has been is now at 5 years old and counting, so it makes sense to start that process of strategic planning again. And I'd like to bring Larry Dugalash and Mylan Wall to discuss their process that they work with other schools in using. I know that Dr. Nielsen also mentioned that the folks that did the Main Street process recently did a terrific job as well, so we may bring both of those groups of individuals to you so you can hear their pitch and discuss with them which direction you'd like to go in terms of strategic planning. But it is time to get that ball rolling again, so that's in the near future. I would just like to extend a hearty congratulations to both of our buildings, and I wish everyone was here to be able to hear it, but in the opportunity to attend two outstanding Veterans Day celebrations today, it was very heartwarming to see the job that our staff did in presenting two very terrific celebrations for our local veterans and involving the students at a level that speaks very highly of their ability to perform and appreciate what our veterans have given up for us. So a job well done to Mr. Politsky and Mr. Essam, to Mr. Hakey and Mr. Jarash at the middle school, and then also to Mr. Johnson and Mr. Meyer, Mr. Suter, Mr. Voigt, and Mr. Randall at the high school. Just tremendously well-organized events for our community to celebrate Veterans Day today. And then finally, as you heard earlier, our BHS limited edition is set to perform at the opening ceremonies of the Nebraska Association of State School Boards on November 21st, bright and early at 8 a.m. So Mr. Zach Zimmerman will be leading that effort early in the morning. He's in charge of Donut Patrol, and we will enjoy getting a chance to see them perform for the first time ever at the CHI Center in Omaha. That's all I have.
One question, Jason, on that with Mr. Cook's retirement. So what's the kind of plan for, will we replace that position? Is that a position that's being looked at?
It's a position that right now we have been in communication with, we've talked amongst ourselves at the administrative team in terms of what direction to move forward with that. And as we look at a variety of situations, we've discussed different options. And so we're looking at, do we rehire? Do we combine efforts with the educational service unit and see if there's some opportunity there for us? And then what exactly do we foresee with that position moving forward? So we're discussing some different options. Good question.
All right, thank you, Jason. Anybody else have any more comments, questions, or anything regarding superintendent report? All right. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be December 9th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Administration Building. There will not be a Committee of the Whole meeting in November. An agenda for the meeting, which shall be kept continually current, is readily available for public inspection at the superintendent's office during normal business hours. I would now take a motion to adjourn.
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 adjourn.
I have a motion by Doris, a second by Steve. Can I have your votes? And we are adjourned.
Shut that one off.